Kicked out of her own hotel. Black CEO fires entire staff in just 9 minutes. This is the story of Ebony Chambers, a black CEO who walked into a hotel bearing her own brand and faced blatant discrimination on her own turf. In just 9 minutes, she flipped the script, fired the biased staff, and launched a system-wide overhaul of Aurora Lux. Her journey exposes the dark side of professional procedure and transforms the hotel into a symbol of transparency and equality. It shows the power of personal accountability and how one decisive act can redefine an entire service industry. Ebony Chambers pushed through the revolving door of the Aurora Grand Manhattan at 8:03 a.m., the soft hiss of glass fading behind her. She wore a black crew neck t-shirt. Dark jeans and canvas sneakers rubbed pale at the toes. A charcoal backpack was her only luggage. To the marble floor, she was just another traveler hunting caffeine, not the woman who had founded Aurora Lux Resorts and signed every payroll check in the building. Manager Spencer Whitaker noticed her the instant she stepped clear of the turnstile. Decades in hospitality had taught him two reflexes: smile at money, squint at trouble. He decided which box Ebony fit before she even reached the desk. Dana Gomez and Nate Ellis, the junior clerks flanking him, mirrored his tension like well-trained stage lights. Ebony stopped, offered a polite nod. "Good morning. Reservation for Chambers Penthouse Suite." She slid a driver's license and a matte black metal card across the walnut counter. Spencer pinched the card between thumb and forefinger, testing its weight as though counterfeit plastic could ever feel this heavy. Penthouse. He said it the way some people say UFO. "One moment while we confirm." He snapped his fingers. Dana leaned over his monitor. Nate folded tattooed arms and stared at Ebony's shoes. Spencer typed, frowned. "Strange, I'm not seeing a profile matching this tier." "Are you certain you booked our property?" Ebony kept her voice level. Confirmation code Z519 Delta. Spencer didn't enter it. Instead, he lifted his chin a millimeter. "We've had incidents of synthetic identities using premium cards. For your protection and ours, we conduct secondary verification." He glanced at Dana, who pressed the desk intercom security standby. Nate reached for the card reader. "We'll hold this until the bank responds. Should be quick tomorrow at the latest." Ebony's left hand closed around the strap of her backpack to keep it still. "Return my card and run the code." "That's quicker." Spencer's smile was managerial silk stretched over razor wire. "Ma'am, fraud is a criminal matter. We're obligate." He had already opened the brushed steel safe behind him. The card slipped inside latch, clicking home. The movement was slow, instructional. "This is authority." Across the lobby, a young vlogger, Harper Rowe, angled her phone. Livestream viewers ticked upward. Ebony saw the lens, but said nothing. "Please wait in the cafe," Spencer directed tone, dismissing her as gently as a broom dismisses dust. 3 years earlier, the same tone had forced her to nap in an airport chair while someone verified funds. The memory hardened her posture, but not her voice. "Spencer," she said, reading his nameplate, "you're handling stolen property." Dana exhaled sharply, whether at the name usage or the accusation was unclear. Spencer only smirked. "That piece of plastic will be safe with us." "It's metal," Ebony corrected. She drew her phone thumb hovering. One word to her assistant would set internal protocols humming like electrified rails. She hesitated half a breath, long enough to give courtesy one last chance to resuscitate itself, then typed, "Now." Message sent. In a quiet office uptown, Lila Brooks saw the notification and unlocked a cascade of audits, remote camera feeds, and legal alerts. None of it showed on Ebony's face. She only returned the phone to her pocket and folded her hands atop the counter. Spencer misread the stillness as surrender. "Excellent. Please enjoy the lounge." "I'll stand right here," Ebony said. He opened his mouth to object, but caught the flicker of every phone in line turning toward them. What he missed entirely was the red LED inside the safe, already flashing credential match, failed unauthorized access flagged. The building itself had begun recording him. Ebony watched the light pulse behind the steel and felt the minute hand of the lobby clock reach 8:06. 3 minutes down, 6 to go. Spencer turned from the safe, satisfied, unaware that the blinking diode behind the steel was dispatching every second of video and audio straight to Aurora Lux's legal servers uptown. Ebony simply watched him, palms resting on the counter's edge posture, as relaxed as someone browsing magazines. An uninformed observer might have read boredom in her gaze. Spencer read weakness. "Security will arrive momentarily," he declared, tapping a code on the intercom. The speaker popped. "Lobby 2, requesting escort for possible fraud." The sentence slithered through the marble hall, louder than the chime that followed. A uniformed guard halfway across the atrium paused, mid-stride, checked his radio, then began walking their way. Guests in line shifted wait-eyes, flickering between concierge pastries and potential drama. Harper Rowe's phone camera tilted up, catching the guard's reflection on the polished ceiling. Her viewer count stampeded past 400. Ebony's phone buzzed once in her pocket. Phase 1 logging active, remote cams synced. Lila. She flicked her eyes toward the safe still blinking red, and back to Spencer. "Your system disagrees with you," she said softly. Spencer pretended not to hear, busy printing a form. Dana leaned in to whisper, but Ebony caught the words anyway. "Should we call the card issuer? Hotline policy. Says 4 hours hold, not overnight." Spencer hissed back. "Policy also says management discretion overrides at my level." He tapped the printout, slid it toward Ebony, like a bill nobody wanted to pay. "Sign, acknowledging temporary detention of property," he ordered. "If the bank confirms, you may reclaim." Ebony didn't reach for the pen. Instead, she smiled without warmth. "I acknowledge you've just placed your job inside that safe with my card." Nate barked a laugh. "Lady, do you have any idea who you're talking to?" "Yes," she answered. "Do you?" The guard arrived, badge gleaming, eyes already apologetic, because he too had heard every word. "Issue here. Mr. Whitaker." Spencer straightened. "Escort this guest to the cafe. She's under verification hold." The guard looked at Ebony, then at the live phones surrounding them. He cleared his throat. "Ma'am, I'm required to ask you to comply." Ebony nodded once. "And if I decline politely," Spencer answered for him, "then we remove you." Harper's stream chat exploded. "This is crazy!" They didn't even check the code she gave. "Someone tag Aurora HQ." The young blogger's hands trembled, but she kept filming. Near the concierge podium, trainee, Brianna Park, wrestled with her conscience. She tapped her tablet, confirmed what she already knew, and stepped forward. "Manager Whitaker, Ms. Chambers, is listed under VIP override at 8 a.m. Arrived, flag cleared 15 minutes ago. It's right here." The lobby heat spiked 10 degrees. Spencer's head pivoted like a compass, snapping north. "Back to your station, Ms. Park." "But the system." "Back, now." Brianna froze, color draining, then retreated 2 steps, tablet clasped to her chest. She didn't sit, though. She planted herself behind a planter, eyes fixed on Ebony. Dana slipped from behind the desk with purposeful strides. "Let's not create a scene," she said, reaching for Ebony's forearm. "This way." Fingers made contact, polished nails against cotton sleeve. The lobby inhaled as one organism. Harper gasped. A valet abandoned his post phone up. The guard's hand hovered near his radio, unsure which command overruled which. Even Spencer's pen halted mid-signature, sensing a threshold crossed. Ebony's body did not flinch, but her head lifted, eyes locking on Dana's grip. The stillness felt volcanic pressure, coiled without release. Her phone vibrated again. "Phase 2, ready on your mark." But she didn't look at it. She spoke so quietly, only those closest heard, yet the words ricocheted off marble. "Remove your hand," she said, "and step back while dignity still cost you nothing." Dana's confidence wavered, but Spencer snapped, "Escort her, Dana." "That's an order." Harper's stream captured the command chat, spiraling into all caps outrage. Ebony exhaled once, a measured sigh that sounded almost like pity. The lobby clock ticked to 8:08. 4 minutes remained on her silent countdown. But the next phase no longer required time, only intention. She lifted her phone thumb, hovering above the screen eyes, never leaving Dana's. The guard swallowed. Brianna whispered, "Please don't," but no one knew whether she spoke to Dana or to the moment itself. The diode inside the safe blinked faster red strobe against steel. Ebony pressed one icon and raised the handset to her ear. "Lila," she said, voice calm, as rainfall escalate. Dana's fingers loosened. Spencer's face drained of color, some primitive instinct recognizing thunder seconds before the strike. The lobby fell into the hush that arrives just after someone shouts fire, but before anyone moves, a suspended breath, awaiting the first spark to make fear kinetic. Ebony waited with it, the embodiment of quiet power, while somewhere far above the chandeliers, Aurora Lux's servers began sealing audit logs and drafting termination paperwork. The same instant those audit logs locked themselves in the cloud, a soft, triple tone chimed from the desk printer. A single sheet unfurled like a verdict, security override badge access suspended. Nate's eyes tracked the page as if it might sprout teeth. Dana, still inches from Ebony's sleeve, glanced down, then up, confusion, warping into dread. Spencer opened his mouth to demand an explanation, but before sound formed, every staff badge within 3 meters emitted a syncopated beep. Blue LEDs flipped to red. The guard's radio crackled with a code he'd never heard. Protocol Ember Level 3, stand fast. And he froze, instinct suddenly at odds with training. Phones throughout the lobby caught the moment in close-up. Spencer's fingers, fluttering over the badge clipped to his lapel. Dana's hand whipping free of Ebony's arm. Nate frantically tapping a login screen that now read, "Credentials revoked." Ebony lowered her phone without ending the call. Lila put Ingrid on speaker. A crisp voice filled the air, routed through the handset. "This is Ingrid Cruz, Chief People Officer. Aurora Grand Staff, be advised your property is under executive review. The guest in front of you is the owner and Chief Executive, Ms. Ebony Chambers." Harper's livestream chat detonated emojis, expletives, rows of exclamation points. Someone typed plot twist of the year. Another fired off a breaking news tag to 3 media outlets. Spencer stammered, trying to rebuild authority from alphabet soup. There's no credential on file, you said, VIP override. But the system. The system, Ingrid interrupted, records your safe entry at 8:06 a.m., along with derogatory comments captured by lobby microphones. That footage is preserved. Please step away from the guest's property. Nate lurched toward the safe, maybe to retrieve the card, maybe to hide it, but the drawer refused his fingerprint. The diode inside now pulsed amber. Brianna moved first, past fear, past protocol, keying her emergency access as trainee. The lock obeyed. She lifted the metal card with reverence, crossed the distance, and placed it into Ebony's outstretched hand. "Thank you," Ebony told her, and the words seemed to anchor Brianna to the marble floor, spine straightening. Dana found her voice thin and brittle. "Ms. Chambers, I didn't realize you realized plenty," Ebony said, quiet enough that only the phones closest picked it up. "You realized which guests you treat as patrons and which you treat as problems." Spencer tried volume instead of apology. "Ms. Chambers' procedure requires written notice before Ingrid," Ebony said. Effective immediately, Ingrid announced Spencer Whitaker, Dana Gomez, and Nate Ellis are terminated for cause guest profiling, wrongful detainment of personal property, obstruction of executive access. Security will escort you off premises. Severance is forfeited pending investigation. 3 badges chirped again, this time powering down. The guard, now clear on hierarchy, positioned himself between staff and guest. Spencer's jaw worked as if hunting for words sturdy enough to survive, but found none. Dana covered her nameplate with one trembling hand. Nate simply stared at the floor. A murmur rolled through the onlookers, astonishment laced with vindication. The portly couple who'd sailed through check-in earlier exchanged guilty looks. A business traveler in a charcoal suit muttered about time into Harper's mic. Even the floral arrangement robot in the corner paused, sensors confused by the surge of heat signatures. Ebony turned to Brianna. "Your courage mattered. As of this moment, you're acting general manager. First directives: open a complaint desk right here. Promise 48-hour response and fetch water for our waiting guests. Hospitality starts over now. Brianna swallowed hard, nodded, and sprinted toward the concierge podium, hers now in more than title. Security ushered the former employees toward the glass doors. Cameras followed, but no one jeered. The silence felt heavier than ridicule, a kind of civic judgment impossible to appeal. Before Spencer crossed the threshold, he pivoted, voice shredded. "Why stage this circus? You could have walked in with an entourage." Ebony met his gaze with unblinking calm. An entourage would have hidden the rot instead of exposing it. The doors closed behind him. Outside, Manhattan horns blared in different approval. Inside, the lobby exhaled as though releasing 90 years of stale air. Ebony stepped forward, pocketing her card, and addressed the guests not as cameras, but as humans. This hotel belongs to every person who walks through its doors. If today you felt unseen, unheard, or unworthy, tell us. We will make it right, starting while you watch. Phones lowered. A traveler in scrubs whispered thank you. The single word echoed louder than a cheer. Ebony's handset chimed once more. Lila's message, Phase 3, green lit. Media statement drafted. Project Beacon live. Ebony nodded to no one, then headed for the center of the lobby, where Brianna was already wheeling out a portable desk, a tiny practical monument to a new order. Brianna braked the wheeled podium beside a cluster of velvet chairs. The makeshift station looked small under the 40-foot ceiling, yet every eye followed it, as though the marble had been inlaid around this moment. Ebony reached the desk, opened the service tablet, and logged in with a thumbprint that unlocked every system at once. A hush traveled outward, as if the lobby itself leaned in. "First guest?" she asked. A man in a rumpled gray suit. Earlier, he'd muttered about time, stepped forward clutching a paper folder. "Overbilling from March," he said, then caught himself. "I'm Aaron Costa." Ebony extended a hand. "Mr. Costa, we'll start there." She tapped the screen. His historical invoice illuminated in a transparent overlay. "Refund of 2 nights plus upgrade on your next stay," she decided aloud. Her authority manifested as numbers recalculating in real-time balance. Zeroed voucher, auto-emailed. Aaron blinked, half-smiled, retreated as though the floor might vanish if he lingered. The crowd's energy changed, doubt melting to possibility. A woman with a stroller rolled up. "Ada room denial last fall," she said, voice trembling from equal parts frustration and relief. Ebony gestured to Brianna, who navigated the interface like it was muscle memory she'd always possessed. "Resolution dispatched, wheelchair accessible suite, confirmed for her current stay rate, adjusted to complimentary." Applause quick, surprised scattered across the lobby. Harper pivoted her phone from case to case, livestream feeding on Catharsis. Chat commenters erupted with, "This is how accountability looks." Ebony heard the chorus only as distant surf. Focus stayed on each face in front of her. She responded line by line until 10 grievances had shifted from story to solution, and the queue thinned to curious onlookers rather than plaintiffs. Behind them, housekeeping carts rolled closer, spontaneous honor guard. Staff who'd watched the firings from service corridors emerged, some wide-eyed, some grim. Ebony beckoned them. "We're resetting together. You stay, you grow. You excuse, you go." Heads nodded, anxious yet hungry for the certainty she offered. Her phone vibrated twice. Project Beacon dashboards live, followed by media holding statement, ready for release. She raised the device, flipped the camera, and recorded a single take in the middle of the lobby, guests and employees framing her shoulders. "I'm Ebony Chambers. Today, Aurora Grand faced a truth. Most properties hide bias disguised as policy. 3 people lost their jobs. 1,000 will keep theirs by proving every day that hospitality is unconditional. To anyone ever turned away because they didn't look the part, our doors are open literally and figuratively. Tell us your story at beacon.auroralux.com. We will answer." She ended the clip. Lila confirmed distribution to press and social within seconds. Murmurs rippled. Some guests recognized they'd just appeared in a viral statement, but no one objected. The moment belonged to all of them. Brianna tapped Ebony's elbow. Regional compliance on line 2. They want direction. Tell them to audit the last 18 months of incident tags every property, Ebony replied, and reroute guest feedback addressed to my inbox until further notice. A bellhop wheeled a tray of bottled water toward the desk. Ebony took one, cracked the seal, handed it to a teenage traveler who had filmed the entire confrontation, but hadn't spoken. "Thirsty?" she asked. The girl nodded, nerves dissolving into a grin. Across the lobby, engineering techs dimmed chandeliers briefly, a signal that system patches were uploading. The safe that had swallowed Ebony's card earlier now sat open empty, a faint red glow fading to green. Security cycle, completed, audit chain sealed. Ebony surveyed the space marble, still flawless, floral centerpieces, still immaculate, but the air different, ionized with accountability. She inhaled, exhaled. Brianna summoned. Department leads to the ballroom in 1 hour. We map the new standard today, launch tomorrow. Yes, Ms. Chambers, Brianna answered, voice steadier with each syllable. And invite our guests to listen in if they wish, Ebony added, turning toward the elevators. Transparency isn't a memo. It's an open door. As she walked, people parted, not out of fear, but deference earned in the span of half an hour. Somewhere above, another server chimed. The first external complaint had landed in the beacon portal, time-stamped, acknowledged, already assigned. Ebony pressed the call button. When the elevator arrived, its mirrored doors reflected a lobby rearranging itself around new gravity. She stepped inside, confident the ground floor would keep revolving without her hand for a few minutes, but never again without her vision. The elevator doors whispered shut, sealing Ebony in a mirror-boxed silence for 12 floors. Only then did adrenaline tap her ribs. She steadied her breathing, hit speed dial. Status, she said before Lila could speak. Beacon portal at 60 submissions already. Most are historical. Media clip has 2 million impressions. Sentiment, 82% positive. Lila rattled off. Good. Route every new complaint to interim GMs. Copy me until midnight. Copy. Also, Finance wants to know if we freeze discretionary bonuses for properties under audit. We don't freeze. We redirect to accelerated training. Message payroll. Call ended. The elevator chimed. Ebony stepped into the hushed, pre-function corridor, where digital signage already read, Aurora Grand. Emergency Standards Summit. Brianna, tie slightly crooked, waited beside a table of name badges she'd handwritten herself. 53 department leads and senior supervisors, she reported, cheeks flushed. Guests invited to observe are taking seats along the back wall. I cleared the ballroom stage. You're doing fine, Ebony said, straightening Brianna's tie knot with a quick tug. Remember, transparency, accountability, action in that order. Inside the chandeliered hall felt half conference, half courtroom. Housekeeping chiefs in crisp whites clustered beside engineering techs in polos. Sales managers huddled with concierge captains. At the rear, 20 curious guests sat with notebooks and phones poised. Harper Row streamed from a side aisle, providing a running caption, Live from the Reform Summit. Ebony crossed to the dais. No microphone check, no preamble. Thank you for assembling with 1 hour's notice, she began. If you're here, it means you chose to stay after witnessing what happened downstairs. Staying is the easy part. The work starts now. She outlined zero-bias check-in, 48-hour redress, and open lobby oversight in bullet-precise strokes. Each protocol displayed on a towering LED, each slide ending with a time-stamped box, effective immediately. A hand rose. Graham Patel, Food and Beverage Director, tie askew from the sprint up. These standards are noble, Ms. Chambers, but the cost, extra staffing, third-party auditors, none of that was in Q3 budgets. Ebony met his gaze. The greater cost is lawsuits, lost loyalty, and silent departures. We've paid that for years without seeing the invoice. Starting today, we pay upfront in training and transparency. Graham's shoulders eased. He nodded, scribbled notes. She turned the screen to a live feed of the Beacon dashboard anonymous complaint pins, lighting a continent map in red. Gasps rippled. Every dot is a story we ignored. We will answer each. Next slide. Leadership shifts. Effective now, Brianna Park is permanent general manager of Aurora Grand. Applause broke a relieved laugh, bubbling from the trainee elevated in one afternoon. Regional compliance will co-chair with her on all hires. Until further notice, Ebony continued. Anyone uncomfortable aligning with these principles may collect HR packets outside. No penalty for honest exit. Full penalty for hidden resistance. Heads turned, but no one moved. She signaled to the back. Two guests, Aaron Costa and the stroller-pushing mother, stood as requested. Ebony invited them to microphones flanking the aisle. Aaron spoke first. I've stayed here 12 times. Today is the first time I felt the building respect me more than my credit limit. Murmurs of agreement threaded the room. The mother followed, voice catching. My son needs a roll-in shower. You taught staff to say, none available. Today, you showed them that answer costs jobs. Thank you. Ebony let the testimonies hang. Hospitality isn't marble, it's memory. We decide whether a guest remembers comfort or humiliation. Choose wisely. She opened the floor. Questions flew shift, scheduling retraining modules, escalation ladders. Ebony answered each referencing newly published PDFs Lila was uploading in real time. 90 minutes later, she closed the summit with a simple exercise. If you accept these standards, place your badge on this scanner. A portable reader glowed green. For every acceptance, its log simultaneously archiving to HR. One by one, the lanyards tapped plastic tiny chirps, forming a rhythm of consent. When the final beep sounded, 100% of present leadership had opted in. Ebony inhaled, felt the room's center of gravity realign. This concludes Phase 1. Department leads, brief your teams within the hour. Guests, the lobby desk remains open. Use it. Tomorrow, Aurora Grand reopens not just as a hotel, but as proof redemption can be operationalized. She descended the dais to muted, but building applause. Harper's stream caught Brianna exhaling a shaky laugh, then wiping one eye. Ebony handed her a folded card. My direct line. Use it before hesitation, after intuition. The ballroom doors rolled wide. Staff streamed out to their departments. Guests drifted toward elevators, chatting in half disbelief, half hope. Ebony lingered a beat, watching badges blink green on the reader. Dozens of tiny lights against brushed steel, each a promise she intended to keep. Ebony waited until the last green LED faded into standby before stepping away from the badge reader. In the ballroom's sudden hush, the soft whir of the closing doors sounded like a seal pressed to fresh wax. Promises made now, they needed traction. Her phone chimed 3 quick pulses, Lila's code for cross-property alert. Ebony answered while striding down the corridor. Beacon dashboards reporting clusters, Lila said without greeting. Seattle, Dallas, Miami. Some complaints time-stamped minutes after your summit went live. Guests are testing the promise in real time. Good, Ebony replied. Spin up identical complaint desks at those hotels by nightfall. Put their assistant GMs on video with Brianna for a walkthrough. Copy. One wrinkle, Seattle's regional director Holt is refusing external auditors. Ebony stopped at a service elevator where 2 housekeepers waited. Patch him in now. There was a crackle, then a brusque voice. Ms. Chambers, with respect, parachuting auditors will panic staff and guests alike. Let's de-escalate. You're confusing panic with accountability, Ebony said, voice even. Accept the auditors or surrender your badge. Decide before this call ends. A 10-second void. Auditors it is, Holt muttered. Call terminated. The housekeeper's eyes widened. Ebony offered a small smile. Thanks for keeping the hotel running today. They grinned starstruck as she continued to the executive office suite. Inside, a war room atmosphere had already sprouted. Monitors mapped every Aurora Lux property dots, flickering red to gold as on-site teams acknowledged beacon tickets. Legal counsel Pilar Singh updated a spreadsheet on the fly. Human Capital VP Damian Russo fielded back-to-back calls with regional HR leads. An IT engineer sat cross-legged on the carpet splicing fiber into a portable switch. Damian looked up. Stock dipped 7% on the open, then rallied when your clip hit the wires. Investor Q&A at 1600. Send them my slide deck, Ebony said. Cost of transparency stays lower than settlements. They'll understand numbers. Pilar flagged her down with a tablet. Former regional director, Michael Turner. Remember surface-level retirement 3 months ago. New evidence links him to at least 20 suppressed complaints. Media is sniffing. Forward everything to compliance and schedule Turner for a statement. If he declines, we release the documents ourselves. The engineer lifted a hand without turning. Live feed from Miami coming up. One wall screen flicked to life a replica of Brianna's desk, now staffed by a nervous bell captain, while guests lined bent through a coral marble lobby. The captain glanced off camera, received a prompt from someone on headset, and raised a placard that read, "We are listening." The line broke into applause, audible even through distance-compressed audio. Ebony allowed herself a single breath of satisfaction. That's how culture propagates visible, fast, imperfect. Lila swung her chair around. We're 72 hours out from your first declaration. To hit full deployment by then, we need overnight courier for the training VR headsets and legal observers on site. Private jet routing. Single hop trunk, Ebony decided. Jet 1 covers West Coast Jet, 2 South, and Midwest. East Coast, we can drive. Budget approvals pre-signed. Damian's phone pinged. He scanned the alert, eyebrows arching. 4 regional managers just emailed letters of resignation citing philosophical misalignment with new directives. Accept resignations, revoke credentials, and post openings publicly by morning, Ebony instructed. Let's hire replacements who consider respect a prerequisite, not an elective. Pilar looked up from her tablet again. A class action firm in Chicago tweeted praise for Beacon. That's the first time I've seen potential litigants cheering a defendant. We won't be defendants if we fix the root, Ebony said. She tapped her own screen, cueing a company-wide live stream. Time to bring the rest of the chain into the room. Moments later, 5,000 employees across 52 properties saw their CEO framed by the war room monitors. No teleprompter, no veneer. Today, this company learned publicly that policy without principle is theater, she began. Some of you feel exposed, others relieved. All of you are accountable. Our measure is simple. Every guest leaves believing they belonged here. Anything short of that is failure we will name and correct. She outlined the 3-day timetable, the mobile audit teams, the guarantee that any retaliation against whistleblowers would trigger immediate termination. Silence, she finished, is being decommissioned alongside outdated software. When the feed cut, IT showed a live metrics panel, 93% employee engagement chat, flooding with questions, many tough, most constructive. Ebony nodded. Phase 2 was alive. Damian shut his laptop. You realize we've upended 20 years of handbook in 48 hours. We had 30 minutes to do it downstairs, Ebony answered. 48 hours feel like luxury. A fresh beacon pin flashed on the master map, tiny, bright, hopeful gold. Complaint received, resolved, archived within 11 minutes. One dot, then another. A constellation of redemption beginning to form. Ebony watched the pattern spread, already thinking 60 hours ahead. The master map kept blooming with resolved ticket gold through the night, and Ebony stayed until dawn, watching the constellation knit itself into something almost beautiful. But beauty, without endurance, meant nothing. She muted the monitors, closed her eyes, and projected herself 3 months forward toward the day every promise would either stand in daylight or crack beneath routine. 91 days later, the Aurora Grand Manhattan looked unchanged to passers-by. Same Art Deco facade, same revolving door spinning like a slow gear in the city's machinery. Inside, however, the building felt rewired. Front desk shifts opened with a spoken pledge. Beacon kiosks glowed beside luggage racks, and lobby air carried the low murmur of multilingual greetings, instead of the anxious hush of evaluation. Ebony arrived just before 6, alone again. But this time, the security cameras recognized her the instant she stepped from the curb, only to log CEO on site and nothing more. No special alert, no frantic scramble. Respect had become ordinary, exactly as she intended. Brianna, now in a tailored blazer nameplate, polished to a mirror, met her beneath the porte-cochere. All systems green, she reported, handing over a slim tablet. Guest satisfaction index up 12 points, quarter over quarter. Miami leads the chain in beacon resolutions. Seattle second. Any retaliation incidents? Ebony asked, scrolling. 0 verified in the last 60 days. Brianna said pride kept professional, but unmistakable. Auditors sign off this afternoon. Press embargo lifts at noon. They entered the lobby together. A bronze plaque greeted them between the marble columns. 0 bias check-in. Every guest. Every time below it, a smaller plate displayed QR codes linking to live transparency reports. A couple in jogging clothes paused to scan one eyebrows, rising at the real-time data stream. Housekeeping carts glided past staff, nodding, not stiff salute, just seamless acknowledgement. Ebony noticed Graham Patel orchestrating a breakfast bar setup with new hire Samira, formerly a whistleblower in Dallas. In 2 months, she'd gone from complainant to assistant F&B director. At 6:15, the first scheduled arrival of the day, appeared a travel-weary nurse in pale blue scrubs, rolling a scuffed carry-on and rubbing sleep from her eyes. She hesitated at the threshold, reading the plaques, then stepped forward, but Ebony was already there. She pressed a brass handle and swung the heavy glass outward, holding it like a doorman who had no other tasks in the universe. "Welcome to Aurora Grand," she said. "Long shift." 12 hours. The nurse admitted, blinking at the CEO insignia on Ebony's lapel. "I thought you were someone important." "Only if I do this right," Ebony replied, gesturing her inside. "Brianna will set you up with early check-in breakfast and shoeshine service if you'd like it." The nurse managed a grin, edged with relief. "Actually, I'd love that." Brianna guided her to the desk, scanning her badge in one practiced motion. The screen lit green. "Confirmed, rest easy," she said. Harper Rowe, back on assignment for a follow-up piece, captured the interaction from a respectful distance, her lens catching the reflection of the gold beacon kiosk. She mouthed to Ebony, "Perfect bookend," and lowered the camera. A ripple of recognition moved through the lobby, not celebrity awe, but the communal awareness that they were witnessing the first click of a new gear. A bellhop offered water bottles from a tray marked "Be Our Guest." A doorman high-fived another concierge as they exchanged overlapping greetings in Spanish and Mandarin. Ebony turned a slow circle, absorbing details like a final inspection. Spencer's old walnut fortress replaced by an open-plan island desk. Daily guest feedback summaries scrolling on a wall display. A child writing with a stylus at a kid-height kiosk titled, "Tell Us Your Story." Her phone buzzed a push alert from the beacon dashboard. First day of Q417 tickets, opened 11, already solved, median response time 9 minutes. A sidebar metric showed employee opt-in to continued bias training sitting at 97%. She slipped the phone away. Numbers mattered, but the proof was tangible. The low-grade hum of comfort, the absence of wary silence. Hospitality recalibrated. Brianna rejoined her. "Press pool arrives in 40. Anything you want changed before they see it." Ebony considered gaze landing on a fresh dot of scuffed wax near the entry. She knelt, wiped it with the hem of a cleaning cloth offered by a passing attendant, and returned the cloth with thanks. "Now it's ready," she said. They moved to the revolving door to greet the next wave of arrivals, Ebony on one wing, Brianna on the other. As glass panels spun, morning light poured across the plaque, throwing its promise onto the floor in gold lettering. Guests stepped into that light and found no invisible tests waiting. Ebony caught Brianna's eye through the rotating glass. No words, simply a nod. Phase 3 accomplished, maintenance mode engaged. That was the real victory, not a viral moment or an overnight purge, but a system sturdy enough to survive the ordinary days ahead. Outside New York horns blared their indifferent symphony. Inside the Aurora Grand played a quieter music, rolling suitcases, easy laughter, and an open door that no one ever again would be told was not for their kind.